Happy birthday to you.
You're doing it.
Happy birthday. Okay, we're done. But happy birthday. Oh my God.
It's weird.
Well, it's been annoying because we had to like bulk record the past got a cock stuck in my mouth apparently. Bulk record the last like literally 3 episodes. So this is coming out a few days late, but
That's okay. We're recording it before my birthday.
I know. 27,
So
get ready,
weird.
bitch. This fucking sucks. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel
it's
like
a great year. I'm loving it.
Good. That's good. I feel like it's like hitting me right now that I'm like, oh shoot, 27.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We're like well over the hump now. It's
No,
not even
we're still in the we're in the halfway. Halfway of the top half. I'm not old.
Refuse to believe it. Yeah, well, I wanted to start off with talking about we've both recently done some traveling, and we've both recently been in airports. And I don't really have like anything specific. I'm sure once we start talking about it, more specific things will come up. But just like airport traveling is like a whole other level.
Yeah.
Like it's
lawless.
it's honestly. And like you just feel so okay. I do actually have an instance in mind. The Las Vegas TSA workers get so much shit, and I understand that. This guy was a fucking asshole. He looked like Billy from Stranger Things, that like racist cunt. So I was already like, you're annoying with that stupid fucking mustache, which like, whatever.
Wait, isn't Billy hot?
He is hot, but like, it's just like, he's like awkwardly hot with the mullet. And then you're like, but you're a dickwad. And so he looked like that. So I was already like, are you a dick? Are you not a dick? Do you know that you're attractive and you're just being, but you're also a TSA worker who's like being a dick to everybody. So it's my turn to like go up, and like the way that they have it is they have these stations where you have the bins to put all your shit in. And so I have 2 bins, and I'm like, all of these other bins are passing me. And so I'm like waiting for an opportunity, and I see one open up. And so I literally take my bin and I start to put it in the line. He literally is like, no, and like takes it and shoves it back at me. What do you do?
I think
there were so many other people that I just like, it caught me off guard. I've never had someone speak to me like that way, like a stranger speak to me like that I was like, oh, okay. And I just waited, and he was like, gimme. And I was like, what? And he's like, give me them. And I was like, shoved them. He was like, put them in line and like waited until they were on the conveyor belt. And it wasn't until I was putting on my shoes, like after the situation, that I was like, ooh, I'm fucking mad.
Yeah.
I'm mad.
Yeah.
But like, you can't start shit with a TSA worker. They'll kick you out.
Yeah, it's one of those things you have to like bite your tongue, but it's still like,
why do you behave like that?
Yeah. Like,
there's no sign that says wait for the TSA worker to put your things on. They don't screen that out at you when they're telling you to get your laptop out. Make sure you have no fluids. There's no rule like that.
Yeah.
No, they just want to shove your belongings back at you. Anyway, the airports are just, there's so many things about the airports that are just annoying. But that in general, I was like, this is why I fucking hate traveling. And why I like small town airports.
Yeah.
Nevada airport.
The Reno airport. It's great.
Is wonderful.
The
best airport, coming in, coming out. You can be there.
Not flying. The turbulence, actually, I want to die.
Well, yeah, we're like in this like the windiest fucking area. But like the airport itself is so nice. People are chill. It's relaxed. There's never traffic. I was so frustrated. Do you have any crazy flight
I will
stories,
say,
or...
since I've gotten TSA pre-check, game changer. Yeah, I'm an elitist.
I'm kidding.
No, but I feel like my airport experience has been so much less stressful in the TSA portion.
Yeah.
I just feel like people at the airport are just like weird.
Yeah.
Like everyone,
all the time,
I'm like,
everywhere.
Do you not have any like social cues? Like, why are we racing to get on the plane? We all have a seat.
Or
like,
racing to get off.
Or racing to get off. That was the thing. So I made a mistake and flew Spirit.
Yeah.
And I knew I knew that was dumb. I've only flown it with like a direct flight, and this one had a connection.
Oh, yeah.
So we land in Vegas because I have to fly from San Diego to Vegas, Vegas to Reno because of them. And there was literally 7 minutes for me to get to my gate. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like I have a connecting flight in 7 minutes. Can I get through? Like I had to be that person because I was like, I'm not going to get stuck in Las Vegas.
No. You'll see my TSA worker there.
And people wouldn't move. It was like they were just like, no.
I hate that. If someone's like, I need to get to a flight, like, can I please pass? I'm like, absolutely yes.
Yeah.
If you're just like rushing for no reason or trying to push past and not saying anything, that's where it gets frustrating. Because it's like, just follow. They go, you go. They go, you go. They go, you go. And they're just like, ugh.
And then when I got into Reno, I was sitting in the aisle seat. And there was a space and then a girl on the window seat. And she was like trying to stand up. Like her neck was like hitting the ceiling. And I was like, I'm not getting up. We're in the back of the plane.
Yeah, where are you going to go?
I don't know what you want me to do. And then she like sat back down. And then she like got up again. Like I could tell she was very impatient.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to sit right here.
Yeah. I know. Or like, oh my God, it just drives me nuts. Or like when you go, not that I haven't had like baggage claim in a minute, but when you do have baggage claim and everybody runs to the same area of the carousel, so everybody's like right here, it's like okay.
I did have the where you know when you have a checked bag and they're like, we don't have enough space, we're gonna have to, or you have a carry-on and they're like, we're gonna have to check it.
Yeah,
I had to do that, and I literally just had a backpack. That is the only thing that I had.
Well, that and it is like fucking annoying because it's like you plan or you pack
for that
in order to have and then you're gonna check it anyways. It's like shit. I could have brought
so
much other
things. Stuff. Not that I needed it, but it also like I was wearing the same jeans for like 5 days.
Oh well.
I washed them, but still, it was like yeah. Anyway, the airport. I don't hate traveling. I think I hate the flying more than anything.
Yeah.
Like I just get sick, and I feel like, especially like, not that I've done very many of these, but like cross country or even like abroad, when you're on the plane for like 8 hours.
Yeah. I do have to say though, the difference of the plane from doing an overseas travel versus like a regular domestic travel is so different. Like when I flew back from Australia, it was in the midst of COVID, like crazy. I think it was like the second lockdown or just like maybe even, I can't remember. Anyway, no one was on the flight home. So I got those big seats and I just like sit back and oh my gosh, it was so nice. Haven't had that experience since then, but at least the seats in like overseas flights are like better, bigger, a little more comfier, a little bit more space. Still, it's never comfortable. But even still, like the flying doesn't bother me. Even the airports doesn't bother. It's almost like funny. It's just like part of the story. Because I'm like, what are you doing? This guy had like a portable battery charger, but was like a very interesting gentleman. Like just interesting looking, very wearing interesting clothes. Came up literally right next to me and this other person that we were charging our phones at the charging station, plugged in his charging battery to be charged, and then walked away. Me and her like looked at each other and I just unplugged. Exactly. Why in the airport do I think if that were to happen at a Starbucks? I'm sorry. If that happened at a Starbucks, I'd probably think the same thing.
Yeah.
I'd be like, this is weird. And then it like must have like turned on because it was making weird noises. We both like unplugged our shit and walked somewhere else. I was like, I'm not, even if it was a bomb, it'd still probably get me from 10 yards this way, but at least I'm not like an idiot. That's exactly.
Yeah. No, there's the craziest things happen at the airport.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah, I'm glad we're back.
Yeah.
I do love road trips, but to like an extent. And I think flying can be fun when you're with people. Like if you guys have the row where you guys have like, you know, the area and you can like
be a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah. Cuz when I get the budget airline middle seat and I'm like
oof.
Yeah, it's rough.
Not fun.
I did tell myself, I actually said this to my mom and my dad, and I was like, just remind me that like I can spend the $50 extra and not go on Spirit or Frontier. Like, it's okay.
It's okay
to do that.
Yeah. I just take Southwest everywhere, but I'm always afraid that my flight's going to be canceled for, like, no reason. They'll just not tell you until you show up. And then they're going to be
Does
like,
that happen often?
When I was leaving Vegas, all of the Southwest flights were delayed except for mine.
Dang.
I don't
Weren't
know why.
they the ones that had the whole Christmas fiasco?
Yeah, that was them. Speaking of flights, this is not what this episode is about, but okay, when I was like in the process of like debating on whether or not I was going to leave Australia, I had bought a flight back home. It was like super cheap. I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it so I feel better. So of course, like I got it. I feel better. Everything, like whatever. A month later after buying it, they tell me that it's canceled. They've canceled all of this. It's Fiji Airways. If anybody wants to know, I think they're bankrupt because I don't see any of them. And it took them. Anyway, you'll hear. I saw that it was canceled. They let me know that it was canceled. They weren't taking any more flights. I had to restart from like 0. Mm-hmm. And then they were like, and you know, your refund is like being processed. Okay. So I'm like waiting for like a week or 2 weeks, still nothing. So I was like, I need to, if I want to leave, of course, during that time, I'm like, wait, now do I want to leave? Is this a sign? I don't know. No, mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. Still a sign to get the fuck out. Got another ticket. I am just now, I haven't got it yet, so we'll see. But supposedly at the end of April, I'm getting my 2020 Fiji Airways reimbursement.
Wow.
Isn't that wild? That's almost 3 years later.
Insane. That is crazy. But I mean, also good that they're
like,
doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you've gone long enough without this money, so you
I think they had to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they legally can. I think they're, like, just trying to... And this is just for this, like, that chunk of the year. Like, they still owe people so much money.
That's crazy.
Like, dang. Fuck that.
Yeah.
God, I got out of that.
Airlines, flying is crazy.
Yeah.
Airlines, figuring all that out, it's wild to me. And then you just sit there and you just go and you're like,
I know, dude. My high ass is like, honestly, I don't understand how planes work. I will never understand.
I don't get it. With all the people and all the things, I also don't understand how ships work.
Me either. Like, it just floats. I don't
know.
Someone could explain the physics or whatever it takes to do it, and I would be like, it's fucking magic. I don't care what you say. It's a lie.
Yeah. No, it's cars.
And we're just okay with it.
Fine.
I've been on so many planes.
Yeah.
Yeah, cars, there's like knobs and buttons. So it's like
I get it. Like, kind of, pour the liquid. Yeah. Turn the key. We're not flying. You're not floating.
No.
You have wheels on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not just like, yeah, what?
I don't know. What are we talking about today? Because now I can only think about planes.
Well, this is perfect. Our 20-year-old brains talking about the 20-something crisis. The difference.
The crisis of living in your 20s.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I wanted to talk about like the balance between like spending versus saving. And I don't even mean money. I just mean like anything. Mm-hmm. Spending time versus like saving your time. Spending like energy versus like saving it in certain aspects. And also when it comes to money, because there's like certain things that you want to do when you're young versus also having this like adult mindset, like an adultier adult mindset of like, I need to save, I need to think about my future. Who do I want to be in 5-10 years? What do I need to do in order to do that? Mm-hmm. And I think like I've just been really in my head and debating about it a lot of like, what is the right answer? Yeah. Is there a right answer? What do you do? How? Help me. So I just wanted to talk about it because it's not really like just more of a conversation to figure out like I can't be the only one feeling this. And then talking about it with you, you're like, no, we're not the only ones.
I was literally in my therapy session.
Perfect. Love it. There is therapy round 2. What was I saying?
What stemmed this?
Oh, is my tattoo. I was in Vegas with my my cousins seeing Taylor Swift, which was awesome. So good. I'm not even like a Taylor Swift. I mean, I think everybody's a Taylor Swift fan, but I don't know like a lot of her songs.
Yeah.
But it was good. Plus like Vegas is so much fun. Anyway, they had like planned this tattoo for like months in advance for them too. They wanted to do something that like represented where we grew up in Florida and my grandmother and all this stuff. It was like a cousin's thing. And I had told them like long before, I'm not going to be able to do it. And then I get there, they start sending me pictures and I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, I want to do it. Ended up getting it. And then I'm thinking like, was this a smart decision? Like, I just dropped all this money. I love my tattoo. It's so cute. And now I like match my cousins. I don't regret it at all. But it just like sparked a conversation to myself of like, it could have gone really bad. Or if it was anything else, it may have been like a waste of money. Or like, was this putting into my future? And like, how do you make good decisions? And like, what's the limit? I feel like everybody's answer is a little different. But I'm just like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like this is an okay decision, and other times I'm like, I don't know if this is right for me to be doing right now.
Yeah.
Because of this idea of like saving up, not necessarily money, but just like keeping myself contained in like a little box in order to have like a better future. Mm-hmm. And I just think like so many people our age and around this age, whether like a little younger or a little older, are feeling that same way. Because it's like, I want to have a good life when I'm old.
Yeah. But also like I'm what if I die tomorrow?
Exactly.
I want to have enjoyed my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like what's the
Well, since we said we were going to talk about this, I've been thinking just about like my 20s and like everything that I thought would happen hasn't happened. Mm-hmm. And not necessarily in like a bad way.
Oh yeah.
But it's just like crazy to me that like 19, 20-year-old Erica was like, go, graduate college early. Like, I'm going to go marry this guy. Like, I'm going to start a family. Like, this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
And then it's like, the universe, whatever, being like, no. It's not what you're going to do. Right. And like, then I go and live abroad and I'm like, so broke. So broke. Have no money in my bank account. Yeah. Like, but I was so happy. I was having a great time. But near the end, I was so exhausted. And I just, like, craved connection. Like, I craved stability. And I come home. And I'm like, okay, now it's time to, like, grind. Like, this is what you have to do. You have to get a job. You have to make money. Like, that's what you do. And then I move here. And I literally, like, really didn't make friends.
Yeah.
For, like, my first 2 years here. Because I was just, like, grinding. Like, trying to make all this money. Trying to climb the ladder, and then I'm miserable. Yeah. And like I'm in a
for what?
Yeah, literally for what? And like in a relationship that I was like trying to invest time in, and like not that you need to hear my saga of my life, but it's just thinking about like all these expectations of like you go to college, you get a degree, you get a good job, you get married, you start a family. Like none of that has happened.
No.
And I'm so glad it hasn't.
Honestly, yeah.
I am such a different person now than when I was 20 years old. Mm-hmm. Like, completely different.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me that, like, 7 years, someone can change that much. But it's also, like, they say your taste preferences, like, change every 7 years. Like, your body is, like, changing. That 7 is, like, a, what is it? Angel number?
Yeah,
I think,
it is.
Or something. Yeah.
My favorite number.
So I guess, like, not that there's a right or wrong answer, but I think that, like, sometimes the expectations we put on ourselves, it's important to remember that, like, that is a path. That is not the path. And, like, if it doesn't happen that way, you can still be happy. And, like, I know the question is, like, living in the moment versus planning for the future. And I think I've teetered both extremes.
It comes in like a wave.
Yeah.
Like where like a few months I'm like, I just need to be doing this. And then like next few months I'm very, very reckless. Mm-hmm. I also think like for me it's been a little bit more difficult because even though I feel like I'm grinding, I've always, whether it's like my parents that, you know, put it in me, but there's always been this like thing around money. Mm-hmm. And like I have to have money. Mm-hmm. And so it's been hard for me because the line of work that I'm in, I can grind until the cows come home. And I'm not going to get this like
fat paycheck.
A huge paycheck that's going to like solve all my problems. And now I'm going to live the life that I've always wanted to live. And like the more and more I realize like that's just not going to happen for me. That doesn't mean like I can't work hard or I can't get a job that I like, because I know that that's like, I can do that. It's just, I think money aside, it's just hard to like work and still like envision things and then not see like them come, you know, like see them, whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's where I feel like I get stuck in this like, well, I can't. And that's where I've been like the past few months is like, well, I can't even live the life that I want to live because I don't have money. But I can't grind at my job because I hate my job. So I'm just going to sit here and wallow in my misery. And so I think like even during this, like even for this trip, just like thinking like, okay, what am I able to do when I'm not able to do financially, but then even time related. Like I was like, I can't take any time off work. I already took too much time off work. So what I did is I scheduled my flight to be from like Friday until Sunday, had to get like you know, like it was a mixture of like, okay, I'm going to do this for myself, but I really, really restrained myself on like my limitations and what I was able to do and giving myself amount of time. And I got there, and obviously besides the tattoo, like I was very well, like my energy was spent well and my money was spent well. I didn't feel like I was doing too much or like out blowing a whole bunch of money, being very, very reckless. Like I was able to kind of like step outside my bubble but still be smart. And I think that's why I was like, okay, you know, I'm already out. You know, once you dip your toe in, you like are like, okay.
Yeah.
And so of course I convinced myself to do the tattoo. But also like I think it depends on like what is valuable in your life at that moment and where you are. And that's where I see the differences between myself and when I was 20 is like what's valuable in my life. Because when I was 20, like, yeah, money was valuable only for the sake of like what all the external things, like what I could look like, who I could, you know, other stuff like that, where I think is like now my views on like what's important to me is like really shift. I can still be as reckless or feel like I'm being reckless, but in reality it's just like I am giving myself what I need in that moment, if that makes any sense.
When I think even you just talking about it, it's like you went into it knowing like where you were at. It wasn't like you had no idea what your finances were, you had no idea like anything. You were organized and prepared to be able to let go and enjoy that time.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like if you would have come back from the weekend and been like, shit, I didn't know that I had $2 in my bank account.
Right.
Like I didn't know all these things. Then it's like, then you start to resent those experiences that you had when I feel like you could enjoy it.
Yeah. I also think it's nice too because it doesn't pull you away from like having a good time. And even like again, not so much like money but just like energy. I know what my limits are. For example, like drinking, I love to have a drink, I love to let loose, but I know if I drink too much or like take too much to drink like right at the beginning or something, like it's a very fine line between like feeling good and then having a miserable time, because I can't just be like, it always is like, I wish I could be that person that's like drinking and like drunk but still like not sick but still like drunk and able to focus. I've never been able to. Once I hit like drunk, I'm throwing up and I'm ready to be in bed. Like I like that, like right, like tipsy like a little bit where I'm still like aware, because once I go over I'm done.
Yeah.
And so it's like I just have started to realize what my boundaries were. And so even in that instance of like letting loose, I was able to like drink to get to that point, but then also not like still be aware of myself and be like, I only have this amount of time here. I don't want to spend all of my time regretting the choices that I made the previous night. So how can I have a good time without fucking it up? And that same goes with like, you know, not that I'm condoning any drug use or anything, but that goes for like anything, is just knowing what your boundaries are in order to still like have a good time, but not regret it in the morning.
Which I honestly feel like is what your 20s are.
Yeah.
You're figuring that out.
Yeah.
Like
in all aspects,
in
literally
every
everything.
aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Like boundaries in relationships, boundaries in finances, boundaries in like what's important for your time and all of those things. Like I feel like every year it's evolved. Like I look back and it's evolved so much. And not necessarily like polar extremes, but more of just like honing in on like, yeah, what's important.
Like fine-tuning yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's obvious, but it's not to me. Mm-hmm. And I also think what is so annoyingly beautiful is that you have to go through all of this shit to have any of a good time. Because like I just heard myself say just now is not wake up and regret what you did. Like how many times, even this year, have I like woken up and regret the choices that I've made the previous night?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm very grateful that, you know, that didn't happen on my vacation, but sometimes like that is what vacation is for, something that sometimes that happens. And so like, I get, you know, everything is a learning or a lesson or a learning experience. But I also think like having the good mindset, and sometimes like a reckless decision is reckless and fun when you're in a good mindset, but could be like very like reckless and stupid if you're not in the good mindset. Yeah. And so it's just like hard to navigate. Dude, your 20s fucking suck, but they're so good. It's like, as I'm saying, it's like annoyingly beautiful of how like to navigate what's going to be the right decision. Mm-hmm. I think I'm just I'm not influenced by social media, but it really does take a toll on me when I see people, and like, yes, I'm comparing, and yes, I know I shouldn't compare, but I think like when I see people saving up and having all of these like savings accounts and knowing all of these things like techie wise, or like being able to travel, or having all of these things, you know, or just being able to like invest their time, energy, and money into good things. And it's like I get so envious because I'm like, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. And I feel like I just then, instead of honing in on myself, I just start to hone in on other people and like try to fit myself into their mold. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe I should be saving, maybe I should be doing these things like to better my boundaries or better my health, but like this is where I'm at right now. I'm doing what I can.
Yeah. Well, I think for myself at least, like with social media, since we're talking about social media, I will like want to start a bunch of things because I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, they're doing this and they're doing that and they're doing this and she's doing that, and so like I'm gonna do all these things, and then I like am trying to do 7 new things at once, and I can't do them all at once, so then I don't do any of them. Yeah. Which is like that is a lesson that I'm learning right now, because I think with my previous job, at least, like I put all of my eggs in one basket. Yeah. And I was wanting my job to bring me financial success, to bring me happiness, to bring me friendships, to bring me everything. Yeah. Like I was like, this is what I'm investing all my time into, so this is what it's going to bring for me. Yeah. I wanted that balance, and now that I feel like I have more of that, that is where this like, oh, well, I can do this and maybe I'll try that, and then I'm not doing any of those things. Like the working out and fitness, I have enjoyed my whole life, and now I feel like I'm almost overwhelmed by choice and like the ability to do all these different things that I'm not doing any of them. Yep. Yeah. And it's like, I don't need to, like, I've done the long distance things. I don't really want to do that again. Yeah. I don't need to be training for that. But I also like enjoy other things. And so it's like finding that balance and still being able to like have the routine of things is really important, I think.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm listening, but I'm really trying to like figure out what I'm going to say next, because I'm like, my mind is like, like this. But I think aside from all the other stuff that like can be going on in your 20s, like financial problems, like anxiety, depression, all of those things that may or may not be going on in your life, the 20s are so like, 1 minute you just want to sit at home and like you can't get out of bed, regardless, anybody. I honestly believe everybody feels this way. It's like you can't get out of bed, or you feel like you can't get out of bed. You can feel like you can barely do like the bare minimum. It could be a week later where you're like on top of the world, you want to like do all these things and like everything's fine, and then the next week where you're like, I am never drinking, I'm never smoking or doing drugs, I'm just going to do fitness and eat healthy, and then the next week it's like, I don't care, I'm beautiful, and it's like constant all the time, a roller coaster. And so it's like, I feel like you were saying, it's like getting a little older, you feel a little bit more like you can hone in on certain aspects of your life. But I also think like when I was 20 or 21, what, like I said, what was important to me was different. So like exercise, it was like swim meets and doing all of these things, and my financial goals were different, and my love life was different, and my friend group was different. And so like obviously that's like shaped and molded itself into where I am now. But it's like what made me think of it is you saying like you're running and all these things. It's more so like now I'm at the point of like, okay, what's next? Because I feel like I haven't really like worked for anything. I feel like my one big thing is like once I saw you and was like, okay, I'm moving to San Diego. That's like what I worked for. And then I got here and I felt like I didn't have like any goals.
Something that, yeah.
And anything to like, I got here and it was like, okay, I did it, but like didn't do enough of it. It was like hard to find a job and all of these things while also dealing with the 20-something crisis of, I can't get out of bed. Oh, wait, everything's fine. I'm going to go party now. I'm going to eat healthy and all these things. And so it's like navigating life while still in this like roller coaster where now I'm like, okay, now that I'm like feeling positive about myself, okay, what are my goals now? Like, what can I work on? What's achievable in order to like live the life that way? It's like, yeah, I have 10, 5-year goals, but it's also because of what we just talked about is I don't know what the future is going to look like.
Yeah.
So like, yes, I want to save money or put it away, or yes, I want to make sure that I'm like being healthy with myself and my boundaries so that I'm a healthy and safe person when I'm older. But at the same time, it's like the only reason why I'm who I am today is because I made all those fuck ups before. So I like, again, this is no answer, but I'm just like, sometimes it's just like whatever I am tell myself of like, this is a right decision or this is a wrong decision, because if it's right, then that's great. And if it's wrong, well, then it's like, it's not really a setback. It's just another lesson for anything. Money, boundaries being crossed, love life, exercise, eating, anything can be put in that category.
Yeah. I had a revelation while you're talking.
Yes, I love it.
Because I think goals are so important, or having like something to look forward to. And literally, as you were talking, I was thinking about my younger siblings who are in high school. And I'm like, how do you have, like, you have so much zest for life, and like you want to do all these things, and you're like making all these plans with your friends, and like, so you just seem so happy, and like your problems are so small. Not that they're not valid, but like the things that they stress about, to me, I'm like, I would love those stresses. But obviously hindsight's 2020. But as you were saying that, then I was thinking of like, okay, when you're that age though, at least I'm privileged and grew up with parents that are like, you're going to go to college, you're going to do this. So it's like, you have those things that you're like working towards.
Yeah. And
so
people are telling you what to do.
Yeah. And you're also not like, you're not having a mortgage. You're not like paying for all. So it's like, it's very different.
Responsibilities are a lot less.
And then when you get into your 20s and all of those things come crashing down and don't work out as you had like envisioned in your head, I think that is maybe what's so devastating and hard to like grapple with, is like this future that you have built up your whole life. Even like, okay, you're going to go to middle school. You have that milestone. You're going to go to high school. Like those are guaranteed things for you.
Yeah.
And then you get to the end of all these like things that are laid out for you. And then you're like, now what?
Well, and that's what's so, that has been the hardest challenge that I feel as my age of 27 am just now getting over, because I feel like when I got out of middle school into high school, you have to do this, whatever. I didn't really want to go to college. I don't really know what I wanted. I just listened to my parents, honestly. I was like, I know that I enjoy swimming, so it would be cool if I could do that and have that transfer over, because I felt like I had swimming all through my life. It'd be weird to take this next step without my siblings, without my parents, and then also without swimming. So I was like, okay, at least I have that. And then once you're in college, like, yeah, the responsibilities get harder, where you have to figure out like money. It's a huge payment that you have to figure out. Plus, like, no one's calling your parents when you don't show up to class. Like, your ass just has to go. And so that's a different responsibility.
You're like working towards a degree.
There's a goal.
Yeah.
There is a tangible goal at the end of it. That's why I think when I literally graduated and had 1 month and was so quick to jump ship and go somewhere else, because it was like Australia was a goal. A year or 2 years I built this thing up in my head. And then after that, it was like, because in college, everybody tells you like, okay, the world is now yours, go out and get after it. So I was like, okay, I went out and got after it, and then didn't realize like I didn't have that moment of like sit down of like, okay, what's next? All of these things. It's like what we talked about in our episode about student athletes. It's like it ended. And, like, we knew it was ending, but then it ended, and then we were like,
but not then.
What?
You're like, what? I don't know what
I
life
don't
is
know
about
what
this.
to do now.
Yeah.
And so it was a little easier for me at the very beginning because I left for Australia, and it was so easy to have responsibilities there because I started fresh. All of the bills were fresh. All of the payments, phone bills, rent, everything was just fresh. And then, like, it started to catch up, and then I also realized like I don't have a support system, I don't have a healthy place to live, I don't have like a healthy work environment, and all of these things are gone. Like it really did crash around, and like those small steps, and like even though I give myself a hard time, like it is crazy that I went through all of that while also going through like, okay, now I have no more goals. Now I don't know what life is going to be like. And now I don't know if I want to be with this person and be in this country and do this job. What? And so I think now, like, I really am starting to come out of that, like, hole that I kind of, not even a hole that I dug myself. I think it's just 20s. Like, you just live and you learn and figure it out. And now I'm like, okay, stop living in the past. Stop feeling like I have to catch up to something and, like, what's next? I am where I am. Like, my boundaries, my love life, it is what it is right now. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to have like $1 gazillion in my bank account and a hot, fine ass man laying next to me. Like it's just not going to happen tomorrow. Maybe next day, but we'll see. So I think like that's important now to me is like these goals. But a lot of these goals are like next month, 3 months, 6 months from now.
I mean, I will say even us being like, let's go to Morocco, that has been motivating for me.
Oh my God, you have no idea. It is like sparked anew. I am a new person.
It's like crazy to me that like
just one goal,
just one something, because otherwise like what the heck are you doing? Like,
well, I'm
what
even
is
thinking
this?
about like us doing these like trips. Like you were gone all of March. Like even that is just like to hold on to something to keep you going through all of these things is almost like it's in and of itself a motivator.
I'll be honest, that's kind of why I got the calendar in our kitchen, because it was like, what's happening this week? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And what are we, like, even seeing, like, Sophia's coming, or, like, I don't know, we have that event on Sunday in a few weeks. Like, those are small things that I think you need in life to, like, look forward to. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, like, oh, you're going to get married. Oh, you're going to buy a house. Oh, you're going to do all these things. I honestly feel like our generation and, like, Gen Z are kind of like breaking that mold of like, this is what your 20s are.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like our parents and their parents, like, it was such a different life.
Yeah.
And there was such like, I don't want to say like rigidity, but kind of. It was like.
And I also just don't think, I think people like even in our parents' age were living the life that they wanted to live, but it wasn't talked about. So as much as like social media is hard and can be negative, again, we've talked about this before, but there's also that like bright side of it is now I'm realizing like instead of sitting here on my phone scrolling and looking at this life that everybody seems to be living, or like look at their 20s, look how much money they have, look at their, like they're already married, they love their life, they already have this friend group, they look like that's wild. Whereas like now I'm like, that's a motivator for me. You know, obviously I have to like time limit myself so I don't like spiral down, but it's like, I can do this now. I'm not alone in feeling this way and like being where I'm at, because like, even though they have the love of their life, they still live with their parents, or like they have their apartment, but they're dealing with this. Like it may not be shown or talked about, but that's why I wanted to do this, is because like this episode is, I know we're not the only ones that are feeling this way, and it looks different in both of us, but it's the same sort of like feeling of like, honestly, what? What?
I've also feel like I've usually always hung out with people older than me. Not like significantly older, but like a few years. And so they'll be hitting milestones that I'm like, should I be doing that? Like, shoot, I'm not even close. And then I'm like, wait, they're literally 3 years older, 4 years older, 5 years older. Like, it's okay, Erica.
Yeah.
Just live.
Yeah.
We're just living.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's a wild ride.
Mm-hmm.
I think, too, it's just hard to navigate it when you're alone. Like, I think people are so hard on themselves, and I've been so hard on myself. Like, this is just me, and I think everybody does it, is like, I've been in this feeling like I've been in this hole recently because I don't have these goals or whatever else. I think there's a lot of external things that are happening, but I don't think, at least people that I know, give themselves enough credit for the things that they did do. Like, I was thinking to myself when I came back from Vegas, like coming home and seeing the dogs, it's like, I don't live with any family. Like, I pay for where I'm at. Like, it's not a like penthouse, it's not somewhere like right on the beach.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful house. My dogs are happy. I live with my best friend. So yeah, even though like literally all of my paycheck goes into here, it's like I for so long was complaining to myself about where I'm at and like living and like not having friends. Where I lived and not having friends was like all I thought about last year. Like all, you know, until I was like, I got here and you were like, I'd live with you. And I, you know, we worked for it. It was hard and I did it and I jumped in. And like, of course there were going to be, I don't know what I expected. Like there was just, I was going to get here and everything was going to be like sunshine and rainbows. Like it hasn't, it's been difficult.
Yeah.
But not in the sense of what it was difficult like before.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I think it's like building that up, building my like safe zone and like having a place and working for it. And then building up like friend groups and what that means and like where to water, where not to water and what does like what deserves my attention and what doesn't. But also like what I need. Like I needed a friend group. There was a connection that wasn't being missed. That was being missed. And coming here and living with you, it's like has like re-sparked that. So even though I felt like I was failing in other like aspects of life, I forgot to remind myself how I had succeeded in other things. And I think that is what the 20s are, is like you are failing miserably at one thing, but you're really, really succeeding at this one thing. And then you do a total shift and like start to really succeed here and then fail here. And you're just kind of like going like this until it like, whenever that time comes, I think maybe it's just life.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what the 20s are, though.
No, that's a great visual. That is very accurate. That's why I like resolutions. And I know we did this episode, but I like it for the reflection on the last year because it's like you realize how many amazing things that you did.
Yeah.
When you like look through your phone at all the pictures from the year, look at your journal, or like even just think about it for a second, like taking that time to be like, holy cow, I've done so many amazing things.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really important. But one thing about like the traditional path that's usually laid out is I feel like aside from marriage, I guess, a lot of it is like very external. Like you get your degree, you have your job, you make lots of money, you buy a house, like those things. I think, yeah, sure, they can be an aspect of happiness, but I think the biggest thing that I learned in my last year of life is how important connection is. Because it was like, yeah, I can work my ass off. I'm not afraid of working hard. Yeah, I can like whatever, work out really hard. I can do a lot of really hard things.
Yeah.
But I was also living alone and so miserable. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, having you here, coming home to the dogs, like having connection, having a friend, like a support system. And like, that is the most important thing, I think. Because no matter what else is happening, like you have your people. And so building that, like with my family, I feel like I love them, but I honestly feel like a lot of my early 20s, I was like, I have to do this on my own. Like I'm independent. I'm going to figure it out. And now I'm like, hey guys, talk to me. Like, I want to hang out. Like I just went home to spend time with my parents. Yeah. Because it's like, I want to have time with them. And I want to, like, get to know them. Yeah. You know?
I do have to say, too, it's hard for people when they're in their 20s, when they're, like, in this, like, pit, everything's really dark. And I think a lot of people that I know have been going through, like, it's just been hard times for some people. I think, you know, the effects of, like, the pandemic and just life in general can get to everybody, where you do just feel like so alone, so miserable, so dark, so negative. And we've all been there. But I have to say, the beautiful part about that is like once you feel like you've hit rock bottom and you think like there's nowhere you can go like but up, you start to like test out different things and like also see like what's feels good and what doesn't feel good. It doesn't make everything go away. It doesn't mean like the negative dark cloud evaporate completely. But like you feel a little bit of its change. And the reason why I say that is like, not that it fixed all of my problems, but I haven't really been going out. I've canceled on dates. I've been invited to go do things with friends and just like literally don't show up or don't respond. Like, and I know that I'm doing that, and I don't think anybody, like no one, like I don't feel too bad about it. But it's also like because I can't, like I physically can't go do these things. And so it was like almost giving me anxiety because I'm about to go visit or I'm about to go do this trip with, into Las Vegas and see family while I'm like feeling shitty. It's like I can barely go out and like say hi to people and like get myself ready to work, but now I'm gonna have to go get dressed up for a concert. Like I don't know, it like doesn't seem that like great. Like days, weeks leading up to it, I'm like, okay, I like get a little excited. It gives me an opportunity to find a new outfit or like do a new hairstyle or find a new makeup trend or whatever. And then I get there and it's literally just me and my cousins, and we're both like, we're all so very, very close. And it's, I get there and literally like see them waiting for me. I see one of my cousins waiting for me, like as I get out of the taxi, and the other one is like upstairs, and we're like finally all together. And like all of a sudden, like I just feel, I'm like gonna cry. Yeah. Like I just feel like that it has evaporated. Yeah. And so it's like, that is a reminder to me of like, that fueled me, whether it's like being out in this environment, being with family, making that time, like that is what's fueled me. So it's like, even though it doesn't, like I said, it didn't evaporate all of my negative. It's not like now I'm a changed person and now I'm going to be able to go do these things. I think it was like kickstarted something for sure, but also a reminder for me that the negative times don't ever just like go away. No one's ever not gonna have a bad time or a bad cloud or feel negative. But now I know like, okay, this made me feel really, really good when I was like really, really shit. So now when I'm shit again, I remember like what's gonna make me feel good or what fuels my fire that's like dwindling, and that was one of them. So I think that too is like, sometimes like I look back on my 20s and I don't know if it's just me being like a negative Nancy, but I do see like a lot of like dark clouds, but only because like I'm like focusing on that. But if I look deeper, I see like all of these like trying to be very like give a good image, like all these like rays of sun that are like breaking through. And a lot of it is just because like little moments that may not have seemed like a lot in that moment meant so much, because it like kind of like took me out of this like negative like self-pitying feeling that I think the 20s are. It's like you just feel nothing but sorry about yourself because like you're constantly comparing, you're feeling like you don't know what is up and what's down. But there are like other avenues that are like, okay, I like this. I'm not negative. This is just life.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because like we're talking about goals and how motivating they are and things to look forward to. But I also think like whatever they say, the joys in the journey. And I know that's cheesy, but it's like those little things every day, they like those small little moments are the most like meaningful. When you look back, you're like the trip might not have even been like the most important thing. It was like all those little things in between leading up to that goal that you did that are like what was so great about it and what made it like such an awesome thing. So
whereas like back to our point of what we were saying is, if I would have not gone and like saved money or saved myself because I wasn't feeling up to it or my best or my most beautiful or my most energetic self, like where would I have been at? Like sheltering myself for what? I think like I get frustrated with myself because I'm like, man, if only when I was 22 I saved this or I did this or I didn't do that, if I would have done that, where I'd be at now would be so different. And so I think to myself, like, okay, well, if I do that now in like this amount of years, maybe I could do that. But it's like, I can't live like that. Mm-hmm. I can't do that because of instances like this. Whereas like if I didn't go do that trip or had gone out and did those things or whatever, I don't know where I would be at.
Yeah.
I don't think my life would be over, but it wouldn't, wouldn't have this tattoo.
And we've come back to
the circle back.
No, but I think, because I know we were talking about like finances, which isn't the root of this conversation, but it's like you can be so extreme of like, I'm living in the moment, and then you're blowing all your money, and then you're struggling all the time, and then you're stressed out, but you're doing all the things. Dumb. It's like, it's like there's always going to be a balance, and that's literally what you were just visualizing. It's figuring out that balance, and it's like you can't say yes to everything and still be like safe and secure, but you also like need to say yes to some things, because otherwise what the heck are you doing in life? Like that's boring.
Yeah. What else that we've been talking about that reminds me of this is just our trip that we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. And thinking like, okay, is this a smart idea for me to, I've been thinking about that, about like everything. It's like, is this a smart decision for me to be making? But then I'm like, when else? When am I going to do this? When I'm 50? I'm not promised to live that old.
Yeah.
Like, if I can make it work, it's going to take work. There's going to be a lot of effort that's going to be put into it. Not just, like, saving money, but, like, figuring out all of these other things. And that's just for this goal. I mean, there's so many other things, like, goals that can be achieved that are fun. And I think so many people are like, is this a smart thing for me to be doing right now? And you're constantly, like, having that battle back and forth. But it's like, if you can work towards it so that you're not, I'm just thinking of money because that's like the most like tangible thing. But if that way you're working towards something and not leaving your, your future self completely left behind. Mm-hmm. But I think like, go for it. Why not? Because you're not promised the next day.
Yeah. This is what I was talking with my therapist about, of like kind of the like, not concerns, but just like, okay, option A, option B, like here's what would happen. Here's like, I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also like stressed out a little bit. Not in like I don't want to do the trip, but just like
because there's a lot that goes into it.
A lot of logistics.
Yes.
And she was like, "Would you regret going on this trip?" And I was like, "No, absolutely not. Like, I don't regret traveling. I've never regretted a trip."
Yeah. And that's what's so good about having goals is like, yeah, you can have goals all the time. Like we can talk about this goal forever. What are you gonna do about that goal?
Yeah.
And I think that's what is like giving me purpose now is like nothing, clearly sitting at home doing nothing doesn't give me anything, because what of like the past few months of feeling like down or whatever hasn't really given me anything. Like I've learned a lot. It's been good like in my mind for me to like change my perspective, but nothing has like showed up at my door. Nothing has been like arrived. It's like I have to work for the things that I want. And so now that I know what I want, how am I going to work to go get it?
Yeah.
I don't know what that has to do with being 20.
No, I was thinking about like when I was 18, when I was applying for college, I was so like, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to help save everyone. I'm going to make such a difference. And it was like one extreme. And then you become very jaded and you're like, the world is a horrible place. And there's all these things happening. And like, oh, this really great like nonprofit that I thought was really good is actually like really not. And like all these things come into play. And then you're just like, what's the point? And it's like, then you're in two extremes and you're not doing anything. So it's like, again, the balance of like figuring that out, because I don't want to live a jaded life and like not feel like I can. Like I don't, working for money, which was what I was doing at my last job, didn't make me happy at all.
Yeah. Give you what you needed.
No.
And I think that's the overall like theme, right? Is like when you're 20, you're literally just trying out whether you know it or not, because I definitely didn't know it when I was younger, like in my younger 20s, of like you're just watering everything and seeing what grows and what doesn't, and seeing like is what's going to give you happiness at the end of the day is like what I'm concerned about. It may be like selfish, but like I really just want to be like not even happy, I don't even know what the right word is, but like content, fulfilled. Yeah, that's a good one. And I've been like, watering all of these things. some have been like giving me like really, really great opportunities to like learn and see myself grow and get me to where I am, where some like maybe shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And so I think when you're like younger, like mid 20s, I feel like all I did was constantly think about like what's going to get me what I want, or like where am I going to water? This is what I need to do. Whereas like I get older and I'm like, holy shit, that was like all, if I could just like step back and look at all of it, like that was so good of me that I watered all of these plants just to see what grows and what doesn't. And like, I think that's just what your 20s are. And I think if I could give advice to anybody, not that this is like advice, but like what I've learned is like, just say yes to as much as you can. Like if it's a bad decision, you can grow. I mean, obviously, like, don't be dumb and like throw all of your money away or like let all of your boundaries be crossed. But most of the time, like,
step out of your comfort zone.
And do it now, because I feel like when you get older, like, you know, you have to take on more and more responsibility, as I feel now, like so much more responsibility. I also think I have a little bit more of a reserved, like, just self than I did before. Just thinking about like when I've wanted to go traveling before versus like what I'm thinking about now, and how like far in advance I'm wanting to plan. Like I still want to do these things, but because of like past decisions, I'm realizing like, okay, I probably can't just like jump on a plane tomorrow. That's like, that's not realistic.
Yeah.
And so what is it that needs to be done in order to like achieve those goals? And so I think like just saying yes to as much as possible, because the older you get, the more reserved you get because of your experiences that you've learned from. So I'm just going to try to say yes to everything. I have 3 more years of
and
life.
then you can't do that anymore.
And then you're done living.
No, they say
forever.
The 30s are the new 20s.
Great. Love it.
I'm excited. Everyone seems to love their 30s, but I'm also like, let's stay at 27
yeah,
right
let's wait a second.
now.
It's just interesting.
Enjoy that.
Yeah. To like compare myself to how I was when I was younger. And also I think when you have younger siblings and see the way that they see the world versus how you see the world now, I'm almost like, I want to laugh. I want to be like, if only you knew.
Which is like kind of what our parents did. Like I remember people being when people say like youth is wasted on the young or whatever, I disagree, because I feel like when you're young,
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
we do exactly. Why would we want to have an adult mind when you're young?
No, I'm so glad that I was just like, this is how the world is.
It is really hard though to think of like my mindset now to even just like 2 years ago. I'm like, why?
I know.
But that's the whole point. That's exactly, I got me to exactly right in this moment. That's what I needed.
I'm glad you're here.
Me too. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks, me too.
Crisis of your 20s, guys.
The crisis. It's good.
It is good.
If you're not in your 20s, it'll be a fun time. And if you're out of your 20s, hope the 30s are great. Or whatever
you're in. Whatever decade you're in.
I'm just excited for another trip around the sun.
I know. Do you have any goals for your 27-year life? Or would it be 28th year?
I think like I just am finishing my 27th year. So then you're like 27 in a month. Right? Yeah. But I feel like that's you're 27. I don't know.
Fucking know.
Whatever. I feel like I've just been in like the last few weeks a lot of reflection. When I was back home, my mom pulled out my some old stuff of mine, and I had said when I want to grow up, I want to be an artist, an author, or a teacher.
Cute. None of
those things are near what I am doing right now. But I also feel like I was like, why am I not? Not that like when you're 8 years old, you know what you want to do in life and things change. Yeah. But I'm also like, do I want to get closer to that? Because I love all of those things. I love reading. I love art. I love helping people. Yeah. I love teaching. So anyway, not that I'm going to become a teacher when I'm 27, but just more of like becoming more in tune with like, am I doing this because this is what I feel like I got my degree in and I need to do, and this is going to make me money, or because I'm going to feel fulfilled and it's a passion and something I want, which is kind of what this podcast is. So I definitely want to like continue to do that. I also I was just at the hair salon and my hairstylist was telling me about this app called CoStar. Have you heard of that? It's like a horoscope, like your sun, your rising, your whatever, which I'm not big into, but I've never done like my full chart. So while I was getting my hair done, I was reading this whole thing, and I will say I'm a lot of Aries, like, which is interesting. What my like, whatever Jupiter, whatever the love planet is a Gemini.
Good luck.
Which is like, no, that's what I am.
You're like,
I'm
attracted to Geminis?
No, I am.
Oh, you're a Gemini?
Yeah.
Two-faced bastard.
Which, okay, this is nothing to do with the goal, but I'm like really thinking about it because it was like, your romantic side is dynamic, curious, and easily bored. Yes. You love witty banter, but you may have trouble deepening your relationships. You tend to be a bit timid and discreet with your crushes because you don't know how to be forthright. Which is like... What are you thinking?
I'm just thinking that sounds very...
accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Geminis get a bad rap, and so when I saw that, I was like, I will be flirty and funny and, like, then be like, okay, I'm over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was just telling you today about what I was doing. Anyway, this is going off the rails, but I think I'm just in a lot of reflection. I'm going to read about my chart and some things I can be more aware of. One of them is that I, like, don't know what I'm thinking versus what I'm, like, feeling, which is something I've been, like, trying to figure out. Is, like, what do I actually want to do? Is this just my brain telling me that this is what I need to do? So,
like, there's a misconnection somewhere, so you're trying to... That's perfect. That sounds like a perfect 27-year-old trying to figure that shit out.
Yeah, another balancing act that I'm going to
constant
do.
Yeah.
What is the...
Good enough.
And on that note...
we love you guys. Thanks for listening to us.
Follow us on everything at Polite as Fuck.
Polite as Fuck. And have a great rest of your week.